you do see that there's going to be a lot of images that have the people actually in there. Other than that, you still may want to go ahead and design your mock-up because maybe it's supposed to be seen as, okay, this is how mom looks standing next to her decor. So if you have a person in the image, it's just like when you go window shopping, right? If they just show you clothes on a hanger, you don't really get the vibe and the idea. But if they show a person, it starts to put together things like scale. Like if I see a person standing next to that backdrop, I understand. Oh, that's at least 8 feet tall. That's going to make my party look really good. So you can put people in there without putting people in the image. You can just use your models as in the space that you're designing. Okay, but a lot of times you're going to see the images of the people in the backdrop. And in that case, most times you'll see if they have a single image, they may also have a watermarked image, they may have some text on here. And so what I'm doing is I'm breaking down without really copying what somebody else did, I'm breaking down those elements. So I have a background here, I have a foreground, which is a photo right here. I have a watermarked photo, which I would call it a watermarked photo, but really it's just a transparent photo. And then one of my main accent images here is this teddy bear. So really that teddy bear is the drawing point. That is the theme. Is probably saying something like, "Oh, yep, we can barely wait to meet you." So it's using the theme of that baby shower in order to draw together all of those elements. So the blocks that are there. So maybe I would make some baby blocks. Don't try to put letters in them in Midjourney, but you could make baby blocks. Okay. Also, I see the boho chic kind of flowers. So what I would tell it when I'm developing my accent images for that, and I'm going to go ahead and just break that down. Let me pull this over to the side so I can see it while I'm breaking it down. If I wanted to do that same very design, that one, it looks like it mixed some elements, like it did watercolor flowers, kind of not necessarily watercolor teddy bear, but I'm gonna put those accents in my watercolor here. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna describe some of those elements. So when I tell it that I want to imagine, I'm gonna put the watercolor. And then here's a tip: if you put the word clip art, so watercolor clip art, and then I'm going to tell it featuring a teddy bear floating away with balloons. And then I could even tell it like what the color balloons are. You know me, I'm gonna stick with blue balloons. I was gonna put blue and green, but I'm just gonna stick with blue. And then I've got to make sure that I spell teddy bear right. Floating away with blue balloons. Now I want to keep these prompts simple, especially when I'm doing my clip art, because I want to see if it's going to get me close to what it is that I want to see. And I'm going to even put Teddy here, see if it's already kind of developed some Teddies here for you. Yes, customer happiness. We can cut and record again. Absolutely. Oh no, Sheena, we're not switching to the template. The template is for Wednesday. What I'm getting you ready for
The
is,
recording has stopped.
thank you. What I'm getting you, let me let the recording
This
start again.
meeting is being recorded.
Here we go. So what I'm getting you ready for, Sheena, is to understand why you are making things in AI, what you can use those things for, and how you can pull those things together to develop something that you can sell. Because so many people will do AI artwork, create beautiful AI artwork, but what are you using it for? What are you doing with it, and how do you market it? So I'm teaching you that from the ground up here. So let me see. Did it make my teddy? Let me check on it here. And like I said, if you're totally stuck, I have stuff like plenty of things from baby showers to flowers to animals, trucks, etc. Like you all will have plenty to play with in here. Our AI in action class also played with some stuff in there. I think that's gonna be fun for y'all to check out. Okay, so here, it's giving me watercolor, but I want a little bit more detail than this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tell it I want a watercolor illustration instead. And then I'm gonna tell it that I want to isolate it on a white background. Oh, there it is. Isolated on a white background. And then I can put highly detailed, and it should give me like a little more details as far as like his fur. So we're gonna see. Let that go. Very nice, Pamela. All right, so I have those, and then I might do the same thing, take the same exact description. Also, whenever you think of different type of scenarios, like maybe one is floating away in a hot air balloon. Like you can take all of these themes, and that's what your multi-prompt is going to be good for, because I can imagine the same exact character or the same exact description doing several different things, like a hot air balloon or driving a race car or whatever those different elements are going to be. So that's why I say if you start off with an event that you know you want to do, you know you want to work, then you can develop all of your pieces from that. All right, so there is, see that one, I like that one with a little more detail in the first one there. And I can get an even more descriptive and tell it that I want it to be an adorable, oversized, and then I'll put balloons. You see, I put one balloon there this time. There we go. And I could spell highly. All right, so it's give me a little more detail there. And then I would put in like the other elements would be that I want to do the boho chic flowers. So boho chic flowers. And then I'm going to tell it that it's incorporating the blue, because if I want to change the color to the blue, I can. But this one is very like very monochromatic. Oh, those are too cute. Look at it. All right, y'all. This stuff is like it's addictive. You just start making things up off the top of your mind and it will listen to you. Okay, so boho chic flowers isolated on a white background. And I'm gonna put flower border. Just so I can see if it's going to give me like a linear version of the flowers. Oh, too cute. All right, I see y'all working over there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and break down now what I expect you to have for class on Wednesday. So what I expect you to have for class is some type of foreground image or model. And I'm going to take you through some of the examples. So this one is going to be for like our baby shower, not necessarily saying that the person is going to be an image, but maybe so. If you want to have a watermarked image, then you're going to want to have a second image, okay? So you'll have your first image, you have a second image, and the way that you can get a similar second image is to go to your model. And let me take something that's already upscaled. Because when it's already upscaled, you'll see some options here. So right here, I see her standing, looking forward, looking straight. I can tell it that I want to vary this strong, and you can also very subtle. And then I'm gonna put side view of same person, or you can kind of change what they're wearing. You can change like what their emotion is. You can maybe say they're smiling. It's a hit or miss sometimes with these variations, especially depending on if it's kind of set on what the image is. But I'm gonna also do a very subtle one. And when I come down here to the very bottom, and see how it's kind of giving me a little bit different poses now? And even if it is like she's still facing forward, this one kind of gives her a little bit of a different pose. So if I were going to do like a foreground image and then a faded image in the background or a watermarked image in the background, I would want to see something of a different pose. I don't like when you put the same exact picture in the front as in the back watermarked unless like you're doing that on purpose. So that's just a quick tip way for you to develop an alternate image based on that main image. So for this one, now it just turned a head backwards on that one. This one I think turned out well. This one has a different pose, and then this one's kind of like a look away. So a look away could be good as a watermark image too. All right. Okay, so that was just a tip. If you're going to have two images, then that's a way to develop your second image. All right, so I'm going to turn off the second image because the next set is not going to have a second image, but I have my primary image. And then I want you to have some accent images. So here I have my watercolor animals and my cabin, my snow covered rooftop cabin as my accent elements. So it took some thought to bring these things together. So that's why our session today is mainly us thinking through what type of images are going to go together to build our design. All right, so those are my watercolor animals in the cabin there. And then, of course, we have the background. All right. And then what you all are going to do Wednesday in class is we are going to do generative AI for the background for those who actually have the latest version of Photoshop. So make sure that your Photoshop is together because you've been saying that you want to learn how to take that image that comes in and make it wider, make it bigger so that it fills up the all over shirt. And in order to do that, you have to make sure that you have the latest, greatest Photoshop and that your computer can handle it. Okay. All right. So I'm going to turn off that one and we're going to go into our next theme, which if some of you all were doing the 3D option, this is going to be a cool option for you. All right. So for this one, I'm going to turn on my accent elements and my main image and then my text here. And then I'm going to go ahead and change out the smart color here and grab my red back. All right. So for this one, again, I'm going to show you how we're going to expand the background because the background was not that complete. So we are going to use the generative fill, the AI that's built into Photoshop to give us more background area. But what I need you to start with, I need you to have your background image that we talked about. Then I need you to have your subject image. So here, this is my character. This is my subject image. And then I have my couple of accents. So here I have some 3D. So I use the 3D character. And then I also use 3D accent elements. So sometimes you can mix and match. Like you can do watercolor accent elements and a photorealistic background or a 3D background plus maybe illustrated elements. You can do that. You can mix and match. It's called mixed media. That's cool. but I want it to make sense to you. So you develop those things how you like to see them. And I'm going to build a design in a little bit with you that kind of give you an idea of why I went with a certain theme and way that I designed that theme. Okay. So here is the text gone, the subject image gone, our accent elements here, which is the gifts and the candy, and all that stuff is in the server, y'all. Don't go making what I already made. If you like that, then just grab it off the server. It's yours to use. Hundreds of files in there for you all to use. So I'm going to turn that off. And now I'm going to do, remember I told you those photography style backdrops? So now I have this one. And this is a very popular photography style backdrop. I think would look really cool for shirts, invitations, greeting cards, all of those things. Okay. And then I have some little vector snowflakes that I have in the file for you. So you'll get that too. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my photo in there. Where did I get that photo from? I got it from here, the server that we're working on right now. And I'm going to do, I think I created a version of the family that's sitting. So I wanted to do this with y'all. All right, so I want it to look like the family is actually sitting on the back of the truck because right now I'm going to show you the layout. It works well because if they give you a family photo and they don't have them sitting on anything, you can't make it look like they're sitting in the truck. Actually, you could because you can face swap, you can create a body in one place and merge it into Photoshop, but it's not worth it. So if they gave me this, then I would just straight up go with the family name here. Merry Christmas family name is covering that up. I'm not trying to make it look like they're sitting on the truck. It's just that I'm using these elements to bring things together. And here, where I was telling you, sometimes you use two different mixed media. So in the background, I have a photographic element. In the foreground with the letter S, because it's supposed to stand for the Simpson family, then that's an illustrated graphic. Okay, so it's not going to be a photographic image there. Maybe I could do a 3D image if I wanted it to look like it went together, but I wanted the illustration to stand out and look different because it has a truck in it. I wanted it to look different from the truck in the background. Okay. Well, if you love that S, Christy, then you're gonna love. I have a whole alphabet that I'm gonna be putting into the template for you all. So a whole winter alphabet, and then also we're gonna prompt inside of just like we did with the other class. I don't know if y'all knew this. Did y'all know I went back and added some stuff? You all, even if you did a class, let me see. I'm gonna show you something. Which one did I do it for? The alphabet? Did y'all know that I went back and added, and some of you do too, like y'all will go in there and you actually will do like the letter. If I put in letter, okay, there's letters in there, okay. And if y'all want that, then we can prompt that inside of our server here. So the whole point, y'all, is not that these prompts are so secret. What it is that we're working together. So when I develop an alphabet, or let's go back to the other server, I'm going to show you. Let's see. This one, royalty. If I put in letter, there are 573 letters in here right now. That's 573 credits that I don't have to use in order to develop these letters. So the last template I created for you all, I put 2 of each letter in there. I put a bling version of each letter, and then I put a more scrollish, like this one version of each letter. I went in, I cleaned them up. Because listen, sometimes you got to bring these things into Photoshop. Like, I don't know if that's a TF or a TF, but you have to bring it into Photoshop sometimes to clean up some things. And I did that for that alphabet. So I'm doing the same thing for this one so that we have a winter alphabet. All right. So if y'all want to do that, do y'all remember how I prompted that one? You want me to give you that game for the free 99 for the one time? Let me see. Now this one, what I did is I did go through and I had to, like, some of these letters, y'all, Midjourney does not like. The letter I, the letter J, a W, it kept giving me V's. So I had to create some of the letters that you all have. I had to bring them in Photoshop and um, and create them. I think I told y'all about that experience. Yeah. Okay. But I could do that. We could do that if y'all want some more letters to prompt and play around with in there. Some winter theme letters. And if that's the case, let me go ahead and prompt that while I'm designing. Hold on just a minute. Because I didn't plan on doing this one for this one. But hey, if it floats your boat or finds your lost remote, let me grab it for you. Here we go. Okay, I think I remember showing y'all this last time too. So let's go ahead and put it in here. Let's make us an alphabet. Now, what I did in my Christmas one was I made some alphabets that were based on, what am I doing? This one is going to be alphabets, and I'll put letters. So if you type in the word letter, then that should pop up for you. All right, so I'll go ahead and get this going. All right, here you go. And I'm going to multi-prompt a few of these. Yep. I'm going to put baby shower theme. I don't know what it's going to come up with, but I'm just going to let that cook while I'm doing my stuff. All right, so it's giving us some winter wonderland things. This is going to be fun. I think they're going to be really fun. As a matter of fact, let me see. I'm going to let a few more cook. And this one I'll do a all right, now it's probably not gonna let me do all of these because I'm going over here, going and flowing. It'll probably stop me and say I'm doing too much. Like, yeah, I know you got, one of the higher subscriptions, but we still gonna stop you. All right, so I'm gonna let that go, let that cook. Some of these are turning out really cool. Okay, I gotta look away because then I'm gonna get caught up in this and I'm gonna think of a whole new thing to design. All right, so back to the back to the messages here. All right, so I have here a letter, and that letter is a part of my accent element. So no, I don't have a bunch of Christmas ornaments hanging everywhere and everything. Like, so sometimes that one accent is enough. It tells the story. It does what it needs to do. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to bring in my photo, and I'm going to turn off the name for right now, and then I'm also going to turn off my snowflakes. And what I'm going to do is bring in the image. Here's my image of my family right here. So I'm going to jump to this image. Okay. And I told it that I wanted a family, and I told it specifically I wanted a mom, a dad, and a little girl, because you could say family and you don't know what you're going to get. And even here, like, it has like arms, legs kind of mixed up. It doesn't do multi people like it should just yet, because you're going to have issues with hands, feet. Like, it'll look like a person has three arms sometimes, and you don't know where that arm is coming from when it's wrapped around someone. That is all a part of the AI game. You're not going to be able to get perfection out of something that's generating images out of thin air. Okay. So, but if it is something that I like, then what I would do is I would either incorporate it as is, like I like this image down here, number three, or let's say I like this image, but something happened to like it kind of tied up her arms or her legs, then I would make sure that my text or whatever I put on there was going to be covering that area. Okay. So what I'm going to do is jump to this image right here. And I want to get their feet in there if I can. So I'm going to upscale number three. And then when I upscale it, I'm going to bring the image down, see if I can get their feet so that it can look like they're sitting on the back of the truck. If not, then I'm not going to worry about it. I think the biggest part of design is learning how to do the most with what you got. All right, so now I'm going to push that down a little bit there so I can get some imagery down below. All right. And while that is cooking, you see I was gonna give me some legs there, hopefully, and it'll oh, it gave her a bench to put her feet on. That's so cute. I guess it realized that, hey, her leg's gonna be hanging and she has nothing to rest them on. So it gave us a bench there. And also because I said sitting on a bench, like it's taking the bench literal and it's creating another bench. This thing is AI is funny sometimes. Let me see if it keeps it all there or takes it away. Either way, it doesn't matter because I'm going to have them sitting on the back of the truck and the words are going to be right there. All right. So whenever it's done, it's about 78% done. I'm going back to my image here. All right, so I have my background here. How this background started was just that middle square. I had to create the excess of that. So we're going to do that together in class is Wednesday. That's a vital part to understanding how to use the AI inside of Photoshop. Okay. But that's the only thing that we're doing AI inside of Photoshop. What I'm going to start doing is, you know how I build I sprinkle a little bit of advanced topics every time we do a Photoshop class. I'm going to start sprinkling little bit by little bit. You're going to be building your AI skills inside of Photoshop in addition to the skills that you're learning to actually prompt for AI artwork because they go hand in hand. You can get some beautiful artwork, but it comes out with six fingers. What are you going to do? Or if it comes out that that maybe one of the eyes is closed and one is open and you really like that image, you can go in there and you can change that in Photoshop. Okay. You need Photoshop skills if you're really serious about AI artwork. All right, let me go back here and check on my image. Those look good, Nancy. Okay, so see how this one is just total. Oh no, wait a minute. He is missing a leg. I was like, is his leg over here or nowhere? So this one is he's just totally missing that leg. So I don't know why I'm even over here trying to get legs if they're just gonna be disappearing on me. All right, so I'm gonna use image number two. Let's go with image number two. All right. And then I'm going to bring it in, show you how we're going to use Adobe's AI to cut out the background. I still believe Remove BG's background removal tool, even Canva's background removal tool is more powerful, in my opinion, than Photoshop. So Photoshop is probably listening to me now, and they're probably working on it because they don't like that I'm saying it out loud. But if it's true, it's true. I'm going to tell y'all the truth. I love me some Photoshop. I really don't like Canva for designing complex projects, but it has a heck of a background removal tool. All right, so this is my family photo. I'm going to go ahead and open it in browser, and then I'm going to right click, save that image as, and this is going to be for my 249 sample images. And anyone who wants my sample images, you can go to the Instagram, which is at Innate Academy 1 on Instagram, or you can go to the Facebook business page, which is Innate Academy, and you can just message me AI, and I will send you a link with all of these goodies in them. All right, so this is my family photo. I'm gonna call this family photo 2 because we have one already. Sheena, I don't think you're going to be able to do you can do some photo editing in Affinity, but I don't think Affinity is going to catch up to Photoshop on the AI side. However, I'm just saying that's what I feel, but I don't know. All right, so I'm going to go here to my sample images. And everyone, if you're taking the AI class, then you're going to have all of these images already. I mean, if you're taking the class on Wednesday, you're going to have all of these images, even if you either don't take the AI class or maybe you just didn't have images and you want to participate in Wednesday class. I'm going to start giving you a folder of files that you can use to go ahead and do these steps. Okay, so I'm going to do the family here. All right. And we're going to bring them over into our Photoshop file. I want to make sure that I have the existing photo selected so that when I bring in my image, it's going to go on top of what was already there. All right, so I'm going to drag and drop, or I can do File, Place, Embedded. It's going to bring my image in. I'm just going to hit Enter to lock in my transformation. And then I'm going to go to the Object Selection tool. Levi was teaching me this yesterday. And then I'm going to go to the drop down here, go to Cloud, and then I'm going to hit Select Subject. Okay, see how it selects my my one-legged dad here? Well, maybe he has one leg. I mean, I can just say representation matters, okay? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and see what that looks like by just using the mask tool. Let me tell y'all something. You see this hair, the white around the hair? I don't like that. I'm gonna show you the difference because I've got to show y'all this. So y'all don't think I'm tripping. Now there are some tools we can use. I'm gonna use the tools too. Let me go back. Let me duplicate this layer and show y'all. I can do this a different way. I can delete that layer mask. I can do my select subject again, use the cloud, select the subject. And this is exactly what I was talking about when I was telling you I like the remove BG feature better. All right, so I'll go to selected mask. And there's some things I have to play with and do some extra stuff. I can click on refine hair. Okay, see how I took a little bit of that white out? It actually did better when I did refine hair, but I still have some stuff in there. And then I would have to play with things like decontaminate colors. You see how when I did decontaminate colors, it took a little more out. Um, all of that. So that's my best version with a couple of extra clicks. So I can go in and actually pull things and do some extra stuff. I don't want to have to go through that. I'm gonna show you my removed BG feature. This is why I've been using it for so long. All right, so I'm going to take the same photo, drag it into Remove BG, hit start. All right, and I think it's already done. It was that quick. I'll go, and I can do multiple images at one time. That's the other big deal. All right, so I'm going to drag and drop this one into Photoshop. Okay. So without doing any extra stuff, you see how and here, let me do a little zoom action. I've got to let y'all know, give y'all the scoop on this. Give you the truth on this. Let's zoom in. And then I'm even going to close this down a little bit. Okay. So this was Photoshop's like initial cutout. This was in the middle. It's the Photoshop option where I did have to decontaminate colors and I did have to refine for the hair. Looks like it did pretty good here, but I have to isolate it by itself. So you can see that hair. So those extra features definitely help. And then this is what Remove BG did, like with not even more than a click. So if I had to choose, like, am I going to sit here and refine hair and do all of that stuff? No. For the most part, if I'm flipping designs and I want to do a 5-minute flip, I'm not doing all that extra stuff. So I use Remove BG to remove the background, like initially for most of my stuff. But I'm sure I can create a workflow where it kind of did all that stuff. But you have to just be aware that if you have textured hair, if you have images where it's confused, like even not even textured hair, if you have flyaways, like hair that's just flowing, it does some weird stuff. And you have to be aware of how to use Photoshop in order to basically combat those different things. So I felt like that was interesting enough to show y'all and share with y'all. Now I do admit that this one where I did a little extra work came out better. So that's the one that we're going to use. Okay, so now you have that in your arsenal. All right, I'm gonna take my family here and I'm gonna make them kind of look like they're sitting right here on the snow. So hopefully they got something on their butts to keep them warm. All right, and I'm not worried about the leg here. I'm not worried about the shoe cut off there, but just in case anything pokes through, if I really want to, I'm gonna go to my layer mask, grab my brush tool, and y'all know I don't play. I'm gonna make sure black is selected, black reveals, and white conceals, and I just kind of fade off what I don't want to be causing any extra attention. That way, when I bring my words back here, I'm not worried about what it says down there. Okay, or a cut off foot. Now, if I don't like that, let me go back here just a moment. I'll show you something it can do. Now, this is not what we're doing in class. Okay, what we're doing in class, we are using AI to generate the background. I'm showing you all right now how you can do different things, like how AI is going to give you something and what you're going to have to do with it. Okay. So for this one, let's say that I want to generate the part of that shoe that's there. Now, I think I've already turned this into an image there. I need to be a smart object. I must have rasterized that without knowing. I brought that one in from, did I bring it in from Photoshop? No, hold on a second. Let me go ahead. Let me bring in the original image. Because if you have the background already removed, it doesn't do as well. You're going to have to put the background in there. So I'm going to open up the original image here. Levi, Emma. All right. Let's go ahead and I'm going to clean up this area right here by adding a little more canvas space here. And I'm going to use AI to generate what happens in that space. And one thing you can do too, most of us have the feather pixel on 0, but when you do this part, I'm going to deselect here. Let me do Control D to deselect. If you select that you want to feather it, so right now it has 0 pixels. If I tell it 4 pixels, it's not going to give me a harsh line when it tries to regenerate. It's going to kind of let that image kind of, just like we fade off the bottom of image, this is going to kind of fade off that seam between what it generates and what was already there. Okay, so I'm going to hit generative fill. I'm not going to tell it anything. I'm just going to hit generate. And hopefully it gives me the tip of a boot. There we go. That looks good. And then I could even go and select, I think number 3 looks pretty good. All right, whichever one I like, I'm going to right click and I'm going to merge it down so that my image is just not just huge for no reason. And you can see that little line in the background where it created that extra background space. That doesn't matter to me because all I really want is to make sure that I have a good clean image here. I don't need the background at all. Now, if I wanted to, and I don't want to, but if I wanted to kind of generate a leg there, I kind of could by doing a copy and paste, and then I could take that leg and I can do a transform, and then I can flip the leg horizontal, because if I told this thing to generate a leg, it would look like garbage, I guarantee you. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this background image is I'm going to turn this off for a moment. The same object selection technique. And this is what I'm saying, you need Photoshop. If you're going to do AI, you need Photoshop. So this is really not about the template. This is about some of the things that you're going to run into when you're doing AI. So let's go ahead and go to Cloud and select Subject. And this was not planned. Whatever I came up with is what I was going to work with, because I want it to be real deal. But, you know, some people not telling y'all about AI artwork. Okay, so if I tell it that I want to go ahead and create a layer mask here, and I feel like I could have cleaned this little area right here up a little bit. And in order to do that, I probably would grab my pencil because it could not distinguish between the sock and the background there. And I'm just going to kind of clean that up, do a selection there. And I'm going to do a 1 pixel selection just so it's not so harsh. If I have white in the foreground and I hit delete on a layer mask, not on the image, but on layer mask, it will actually clean that up in just like if I painted it in. And here on his boots, that too. His little boots. Clean that up too. Use my pencil, y'all. Don't be afraid of the pencil. The pencil is going to save you when it comes to creating some of these cleaned up masks and contours. All right, so selection, 1 pixel. I hit delete not on the image, but on the layer mask, okay? And now I can kind of bring my leg back here, put it as the background layer. All right, and then I'm gonna turn this off and I'm gonna see if it'll cut out my leg by itself. All right, so what I'll do here is same exact steps. Object selection, go to the cloud, select the subject. It's probably gonna be a little confused because it's just a leg by itself, but most of the time it can determine the foreground from the background. All right, that looks good to me. I'm gonna go ahead and mask that off. And then I'm gonna apply this layer mask because I don't need all the extra data. All right, and now I have a leg. I have a leg. Maybe I need to make sure it's about the same height as this one when I get it here. Let me show y'all a trick. Hold down the shift key. If I only want to be able to move it left and right and not up and down, I want it to lock it in one direction. Hold down the shift key. I can move it left to right, but I cannot move it up and down. The reverse is true too. If you hold down the shift key and you move it up and down first, now I cannot move it left or right. So if you're ever wanting to kind of keep something aligned, but you still need to shift it, that is your key. Use the shift button. All right, so I am going to hold down the shift, move to the right a little bit. I'd imagine since he's sitting on his lap, he's probably floating right about there. And then maybe it's not exactly even. I mean, it looks a little weird because technically the baby wouldn't be sitting. You look, I'm getting technical because what I'm looking at is the level at which the baby is sitting. He would not be on his leg. So like I'm like, oh, should I lift the baby up to make yeah, no, I'm not doing any of that. We're going at least he has a foot there. Okay. All right. So that's better than what we had before. I'm taking it. A win is a win. We're going to go ahead and rock with this. So this is a PNG. At this point in time, if I close this down, it is going to merge all of this stuff together and treat it as one layer. Otherwise, it's going to make me save it as something else. So as long as I'm happy with what I have, I'm going to go ahead and merge these layers together. Merge down, let it go. It's a PNG. I'm happy. I'm going to close it down. Okay. Now that was that wasn't my smart object there. I'm going to bring it in now. All right, so bringing in my new smart object. There he is with his leg. And you see how it did the cutout there? It's just not clean. So I'm going to try this one more time with the advanced AI tools in Photoshop. I'm going to tell it that I want to select, do an object selection. Calm down, sir. There we go. Cloud. I'll do select subject. It's probably going to be no different than what I already had selected there. All right. Now this time I'm going to click on select a mask. I do that when I know I'm going to have to clean up my mask. If I felt like the mask was just easy to get, I wouldn't even be in this mode right now. All right. So now what I'm going to do is hit refine hair first. And what it'll do is it'll look for spaces where should be some transparency. And it pretty much got it for the most part. Next thing I'm going to do is hit decontaminate colors. That got a little bit more of it. And then I can play with whether I want to feather, add contrast, all of that good stuff. And I think feathering kind of helped out a little bit there. And I'm going to leave it alone. Okay. All right. So that's good for me. Let's go ahead and let's build the rest of this design. Okay. So that was one of my little tips and tricks I wanted to be able to show you at some point is using the generative fill for the main image. Okay, so I got that. We have our family name. Okay. And the other thing I wanted to show you is, let's say that for the text. So this is one thing that you are going to be doing for class. I have a like a checklist of some of the things you're going to be doing. One of the things that you're going to be doing is arching your text. So that's a really simple thing to do. I'm going to go ahead and take the text off of here, the text arch off of here, by just double clicking here, the same way that you would add it. Here we go. And some of us don't even know that's here. All right. So right now that says none. Okay. That's typically when you have text, it's going to have no type of distortion to it. If I double click on the T, I can look up here at the top and it's got a T with a little arch underneath it. If you want to, it's called warping the text. If you want to warp the text, then I can come here. My favorite one is not arc. Some people like arc, but I don't like how arc makes the ends flare. I like to use arch because it takes my ends and keeps them nice and tight. All right. And the amount that you bend it is right here. This should be similar to almost any graphic program that you use. I'm kind of following the top of that truck a little bit there just to get a little slight bend. And I'm good to go with that. Okay. And then I'm going to move it down because I want it to be in my principal area. And that's that. So that is a completed design, but I've also put these. Where's my little vector snow that I put in here for y'all? There it is in the background there. Okay, so I faded off a little bit of vector snow just to add like a little whimsical element to it. Like I said, if you want to do mixed media, now I have flat vector plus illustrated truck with an S in the foreground and a photographic background. Yes, you can mix media and you can mix different type of accents, backgrounds, foregrounds, and even some of your decorative elements. Okay, so this is a mixed media version. This one is done. What I'm going to do, I'm going to save this one because I'm real proud of that leg I created, y'all. So I'm going to quick export that as PNG. I'm just really tickled about this leg, y'all. And then I'll go ahead and create that as my variation of, instead of 3, this one's going to be 4. Okay. And hopefully you all are still generating your artwork. Let me check on y'all in the Discord group. Let me see what y'all doing. See how these letters came out. Ooh, these came out really cool. The Winter Wonderland ones, I can definitely see like doing like a Frozen theme without having to do the Elsa characters and stuff. Like, I think that AI is going to take us on a different journey where we don't feel like we need anybody's licensed images in order to develop our own ideas and some beautiful things. So this is still taking on that element using the Winter Wonderland theme, but not necessarily, going and plastering Elsa and the little snowman and forget his name and the elk and all of that stuff, like just plastering other characters on your stuff. You don't have to do that. As a matter of fact, I think you can come up with some really elegant solutions that will take your customers' ideas to the next level because you're not sitting there stuck with what Disney has already created for those characters. All right. So I want to encourage y'all to do that. All right, be your own brand, be your own Nike, be your own Disney. Y'all can definitely take it to that level with very minimal artistic skills, but you do still have to be creative, like mentally creative, in order to know what elements you're going to come up with and how to describe things. Okay, so it's not taken from you as an artist; it is adding value to you as an artist. Ooh, these are pretty. Go ahead, okay, shop docs over there. That's my niece and nephew over there working. 10-year-old, 12-year-old, they chatting a little bit. I had to get on them on the live for a second, but they over there working. I see them. All right. So what else? What's I doing? Oh, I'm pulling in my elements. Yeah, I'm building my next design. I was just checking on y'all. All right. So this is what you all are going to do from scratch. Levi was worried about my video being too long because he has to edit it. So Levi, this part of the video is where you're going to start to edit for our class. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to first bring in our background. And I'm just going to go ahead and close up my folder so I can keep things neat and clean. I want to select the background that's already there. And then I'm going to go to my folder here. And again, if you all DM me, not on my personal DM, but business DM Innate Academy, or if you DM Innate Academy 1 on Instagram, DM me the word AI, and I will give you these AI files for the free 99. All right, so I am doing my background. I'm going to decide which one I want. I think I'm going to do this shop because I want to go with this whole watercolor Tiffany theme, okay? And I'll give props. Felicia was asking me for like the past 3 AIs about some Tiffany and Co themes. And I think that will be very fitting for a Christmas and holiday theme party. So I'm gonna pull it all together and show you what I mean. All right, so let's go ahead and pull in the image there. I just lost it off my screen. There it is. So what I want you all to do is go file, place embedded, because I want you to get a system. Before I show you how many different ways you can bring a file in, let's keep it consistent. File, place embedded. I'm going to go to this is going to be a class number 249. I'm going to go into my sample images, and which you all will get in the class. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and grab store number 3. All right, now this is what I do. I bring it up, scale it just a little bit, because I'm imagining how much of this image I really want to see if this was a 13 by 19. Now, what I do in addition to that is I build on the image depending on if I'm going to do this as a banner, backdrop, all over shirt versus a 13 by 19 shirt. Okay. So for this, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. All right. This is going to be the size that you want to bring it in for pretty much for a 13 by 19 shirt. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is double click on the store 3 because I want to add some canvas to this image and I want Photoshop to help me generate some image outside of there. If I were to just to zoom out on Midjourney, it would do the same thing, but my total image would still only be like a 1080 by 1080, or it's not quite, it's like a little over 1,000 by 1,000 pixels. Well, that doesn't help me if I'm blowing it up to a backdrop. So what I do is I bring it into Photoshop as that 1,000 by 1,000 pixel image, and then I'm going to add some canvas area to it. So I'm going to grab my crop tool here, and I want to add some imagery to the left and right first. So I'm going to hold down Control and Alt at the same time, pull out my image here, and this is going to make it so that I have some imagery on the sleeves. Now what I can do is I can select with my marquee tool here, and it has a feather pixel of 4. I'm going to do 10. And then I'm going to come inside of here. And then what I'm going to do, now I know I've shown y'all before how I kind of select all the different outsides. I'm going to do a select inverse. So I'm going to go up here to select and hit inverse. You can also do Shift Control I. Okay, but I'm telling you the actual buttons to click on so you don't get discouraged. Okay, so that's that. I'm going to hit Generative Fill. And what it did was I had the inside meat selected. It reversed it or inversed it and selected all the outside meat while still maintaining a little bit of the image on the inside. So that what it's doing is the little bit of image that is touching on the inside is collecting information from there. And then it's going to say, okay, what do I think should be on the outside of here? Now the left side came out okay. The right side looks like it was maybe hit by a tornado. So I'm going to see, oh, okay, number 2 gives me a little bit cleaner image. And 3 is okay, but I don't like those balconies. So I'm going to roll with number 2. If there was nothing that I liked, then I would hit regenerate and let Photoshop, give it another try. But this looks good to me. I'm going to rock with it. When I'm happy, I want to merge it down. Otherwise, you're going to end up with some huge files and your scratch disks are going to be full and you are going to be upset with your computer and yourself. All right, so let's go ahead and merge that down. Okay. And now I want to generate a little more imagery at the top and at the bottom. So same thing here. I'm going to use my crop tool. I'm going to hold down Control and Alt while I pull this up. And here I'm going to select inside of my image, give myself a little bit of meat outside of there. Then I'm going to select inverse and hit generative fill. Hit generate after that. And if you all have not done so yet and you want to participate, we have the AI bundle, which is for the whole year. Every single class that we do for this entire year, you'll have access to. I believe that it is still on until midnight tonight. So customer happiness. If you could share that link, we have another, what else? Oh, we have $10 templates going on right now. Our $40 templates are now basically buy one, get three free. You have to spend $100, but that's 10 templates. So I don't know if you've ever like had access to one of our templates before, but it's going to be a game changer, especially for $10. So if y'all haven't taken advantage of that, while I'm up here talking and while y'all listen to me and watching me do this magic, make sure that you take advantage of that deal because it ends at midnight Eastern Standard Time tonight. All right, so I'm checking to see what I like here. That kind of makes it look like it's on ice, but I don't know. I like this one better. It looks more believable. Looks like a street would be there. Now this is going to be the bottom of my graphic anyway. And I feel like what it did, it kind of put this line here. So I might even regenerate this with the top separate from the bottom. And the reason why is because I think it's trying to do too much. And I like the abstract imagery that it gave me in the ceiling up here. So let me do this. I'm actually going to merge this down. Okay, so then that way Photoshop thinks this is all one image. And then the area that I'm not happy with, which is right about here, and I don't even want to use a box. I want to say like, now you all, this is something you may or may not do depending on what's going on with your image. But I'm going to tell it that I want a street right here. Okay, so I'm going to kind of draw right here and tell it that I want a street and just hit generate and see if it gives me a street. Now, if I just let it guess, it probably would have guessed a street too. I'm not sure, but right now it's giving me a frozen lake, and I don't think there would be a frozen lake with a lamppost sticking out of it. That's just, something I might observe. I like this one. Ooh, I like how this one gave me kind of like an impressionism kind of vibe here. Which one do I want? Which one, Shannon? Which one? 2 or 3? Emma, Levi, 2 or 3? 2, 3. 2? I think I like 3 better. 2? Okay, listen, I'll listen to y'all this time, this one time on the live. Let me go ahead and merge that down. All right, that's what we got going on there. I think that's good to go. Now, when I close out of this, I have to hit yes to save the changes, and it should update inside of my design file. All right, you see how it gave me all that extra imagery outside of there, so we don't have to fake no paint splashes on the outside. Y'all know how I do. I'll fade it off, add some different elements. We do not have to do that. So you all are going to do that in class this Wednesday. You are going to finally get to use your generative fill, okay? But that's it. That's all we're using generative fill for right now. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and build on the rest of this design. I'm going to go to my accents that are currently here. And I don't have any accents right now, but I'm gonna be bringing some in though. So remember before we had the watercolor animal accents, we had the 3D gifts and the candy accents. So I'm gonna be bringing in my own accents. While I do that, I'm gonna turn off the text so I can kind of get a feel for my build. All right, and then I'm also going to turn off our photo image here. So I'm gonna grab my move tool, go to my family photos, and I'm just gonna turn off just that photo right now. I will also turn off my vector uh, snowflakes, and then that way I have my background, and I'm gonna bring in my elements now. All right, so first thing I want to do is go to my folder and see which elements I want. And this is where I was saying you can do some really free thinking. So I'm going to use your input right now to help me decide which images to bring in as my accents. Typically, I do not do more than 4 accents, okay? So I wanted this to be interactive. So I want you all to tell me for this design, I want to bring in all watercolor accents though, because I want it to be cohesive. I have some luggage. I have some teapots and a cup here. I have some high heels. I have 3 different high heels that are generated. And I have 2 different teapots. The gifts. I think I'm definitely going to bring the gifts in because this is like a Tiffany and Co theme. And then I have a ring box here. So I'm going to tell you what my favorites so far are the ring box and the gifts, but I want you all to help me decide. So let me know in the chat for those who are in here. And because y'all are going to get this file, that's why I'm asking you your opinion, because you're going to get this file with all of these things already in it. All right. Oh, it looks like a street you've seen in Germany. Oh, it might be. What did I prompt this as? You'll see the prompt. I think you'll see the prompt. I think I did. I might have put a street in Germany on there. Okay. Shauna, that question show us how to flip the template so it's not so big of a file when we try to use it in Canva or Cricut. So when you do these large files, you're not going to be able to do banners, backdrops of the correct size and pixels inside of Canva. It cannot handle it. So that's one of the limitations to Canva. So that's why I would say, print and do your work from Photoshop. If you're going to do print and cut, then you should be sizing this down to whatever size you're going to print and cut. This is huge. It's a 36 by 44 inch file. So you can do all overs. You can scale it up to banners and it won't look so bad. It's still going to be stretching it out. But yes, if you want to bring it down to something that you're going to cut on an 8.5 inch sheet of paper, then you're going to resize your final PNG to 8.5 by 11. And then that way you're not trying to print and cut that large of a file. It's a good question. All right. Look, everybody was talking about 2. All right. So the ring gifts. Who was that? Levi? Yeah. Ring gifts, tea and luggage. Okay. Gift box and jewelry, the mirror. All right. So far, I think I saw a consensus. Ring, luggage. Okay, so here we go. The gifts, the ring. Let's go with luggage. I like the luggage is kind of offset. Or do you like who said luggage? Sheena, you like the offset luggage or the straightaway luggage? It's up to you. I'm letting y'all pick tonight. All right, and somebody said the mirror. And of course, the ring. All right. And see, here's the thing. This could be like a Christmas in Paris theme. All right. All right. So if you remind me, I'll show you, Shauna, that's a very good question. I'll show you at the end how to make this a smaller file that you're going to use for purposes of basically printing smaller items or doing like your print and cut. Okay. Just remind me. All right. So, oh, I didn't even do it. So this is how I bring multiple files in at one time, because when you do file place embedded, it's going to limit you. So if you have all of them selected, You can drag and drop them right onto the artboard and just bring them in just like that. I'm hitting enter each time to make sure that it actually places it. And these are going to go in my accents area. Watch that. Then I'm going to do Control G to group them. And I'm going to call these my Tiffany. Okay. Now inside of each of these, I'm going to show you what I would do. I'm going to use my little tool here. Did I already cut these images out? I don't think I did. Okay, so I'm going to show you how easy this is. And as a matter of fact, for anybody that's getting these class files, I'll go ahead and cut all of these out for you all. You okay? All right, I'm going to take all of these images right now, drag them on into remove BG. That's 22 credits up I'm using up just for this class, just to show y'all I love y'all. Let me go ahead and start that, and then we'll see how fast it goes. All right. And one of them saying that it doesn't recognize a foreground image, probably because those stores didn't really have a foreground. It was all building. So I'm going to open the output folder. There it is. All of those images there. So it couldn't really tell from the store. That one didn't do too well, but the rest of these accent images, it did well. I'm going to go ahead and bring those in. And I'm also going to put them inside of your folder that I'm going to give you access to. All right. So since I'm not going to bring all of them in, well, you know what? I'll bring them in so you can see what they look like. You'll have them in the file. Look at that. They're already cut out. Very minimal type of work that I would have to do. But that's my kind of process. When you talk about workflow process, how I get designs done quickly, that's my kind of workflow. Okay. Now I told y'all that I was going to keep all of this watercolor. So that's what we're going to do. All right, so I said I like that one. Delete some of these other ones. I don't need the building there because the building I already have. Now this one isn't watercolor, but I came up with this one just because I felt like maybe we could use it for something. Maybe, but not today, okay? All right, we're gonna stick with our watercolor. All right, so I have my main image is probably gonna be my gifts and my ring, and I think I like the ring that goes 3/4 view versus the straight shot view. Here's a straight shot. This one will be easier to make if you're going to do a cutout because it's straight. Like if you were going to do an actual cutout that went with your backdrop, which hopefully I'll be able to show you all that. But I think this one is more visually appealing. I like that one better. All right. And I'm going to see if I'm going to use, there are some elements that I was excited about using, but we shall see. And what I'm doing is I'm just deleting them. Y'all have access to these. I'm not using the sunglasses. I'm not doing the cupcakes. And then these other ones, I don't even have to worry about removing the background from now. Here we go. All right, so I have my mirror. I have my luggage. And then I'm going to take off the heels because just in case it's for a little girl, then all of these elements fit age, like it is very age appropriate. I also have a couple of different gifts depending on which one you like. And I think I like that top one better than this bottom one. All right. So some elements here. We're going to get some building. I'll take these gifts, put them on this side, take my luggage, put it on this side, take my ring, and then I want my ring on top of my luggage. So what I'm doing right now is I'm kind of deciding how I want this to layer and lay out. So boxes are already boxy, luggage is kind of boxy. So I'm putting those on opposite sides to kind of balance that. My boxes will be set on the ground. My mirror might kind of go behind it because it looks a little silly in front of it. So I'm going to put my mirror behind my gifts. And we'll get rid of the champagne because this will be age appropriate no matter what. Okay, and I like to rotate things like this. So when I click on the image, I'm going to rotate it, a little bendy arrow. Okay. And then for this one, the ring box here, I can flip it. So if I wanted it facing the opposite way, I could flip it. Let's do Control T, right click, and then let's flip it horizontal. And I think I like it better that way. And then I can also clean up this shadow down here. Now, instead of the object selection tool, I'm going to use the quick selection tool on my ring box down here. And I'm going to select that area down there. And it's guessing what I want to do. I'm going to use plus to add to that selection. And I think it got me pretty good there. And for this one, I don't have a layer mask on here. So if I wanted to clean this up, I'm going to go to layer. And then I can do a layer mask. This one I'm going to choose to hide the selection. Otherwise, it would only show me what I had selected. Okay, so that's a little tip there. I think this is coming along really well. All right, and of course, everything is really big right now. So I'm going to bring it down because my elements should work inside of this little 13 by 19-ish area here. And I can have a little bit popping out, but the whole idea is that if you design with this in mind, you will only have to ever design pretty much a foreground and background, and everything else is going to flow. Now, I do feel like my ring box, it's out of scale, but this is also watercolored things in front of a building. So I think people will get it. I think they'll get it. All right. And then I want to go ahead and bring in my image. So my photo image, I'm going to make sure I'm selected on the photo in my photo folder. And let's go ahead and bring her in. All right. So I'm going to drag and drop her onto the scene. And you all will be able to cut out the image in class. Okay. So we're going to use the same steps. I want you all to know these steps front to back. Okay. Now, if your image is hard to cut out and you have to do some extra tips and tricks, then this will be the time to practice that. Okay. So let's go ahead and let's choose our object selection tool, drop down, choose the cloud, then hit subject selection. All right, and it looks like it selected her just fine. I'm going to add a layer mask here, and it looks good to go. All right, and just because I don't like hard lines, you already know what time it is. I'm going to turn off my accent so I can see the end of the image here. It already has a layer mask, okay? Those pixels are not gone. We just hid them. So if it happened to take out a little bit of the teacup that we wanted, we could add it back by painting the color white onto the layer mask. So white is going to reveal and black is going to conceal. So I'm going to use my paintbrush here. Make sure black is loaded up. Right now, white is loaded up. Black's loaded up. It's going to start concealing. And the brush size that I'm using here, usually I like about an 800 pixel brush when I'm doing an image this size. And I'm just going to slowly come from the outside, come in, and just take away a little bit of that image. So I'll end up with a nice soft fade off there. All right, I'm reducing the size of my image just a little bit so I see more of that background. And then I can turn on my accents. And then here, if I wanted to, because I have a lot of color going on, if I wanted to, I could add a little bit of a drop shadow or a glow behind my images so that it pops out a little bit there. And as you can see, remember where it didn't finish cleaning, where it had that excess down there? I could see it, and I'm gonna clean that up. So if you crank the opacity all the way up, you can truly see when you have some trash around your image. And I'm gonna get rid of that trash right here. And literally, this is part of the image that we cut away earlier with the layer mask. If white's in the foreground, I can hit delete and get rid of that. The other thing you can do is you can use your object selection tool to try to grab that, or the quick selection to try to grab that, but I think it's clean enough where you could see, uh-oh, you can see where it was grabbing stuff that you did not intend for it to grab. Okay, and that looks clean to me. Now I can go back and reduce the opacity of that shadow. Bring my drop shadow opacity down. And you can also move the size and the distance. I happen to like dramatic shadows for sublimation. Do not use these dramatic shadows if you're doing DTF unless you're clipping everything inside of a vector mask, okay? You'll be setting yourself up for some failure there. All right, all right. So now this one, you could put whatever the theme is, if it's your name and co, bridal shower, whatever that is. You can also determine like, hey, I think I want my ring box to sit in front of my text. You can drag it up front, maybe make it a little bit smaller. And that way your stuff looks layered and it doesn't just look like somebody threw it together in Canva. Not ragging on Canva, but Canva, when you look at what it can do as far as like fading off images and combining, it's getting there. I see it trying to get there, but it does have some limitations when it comes to blend modes and doing compilations of images. It is amazing for what it's amazing for. I use it every single day, so I'm not ragging on it. I just know what I get frustrated trying to do in Canva because I know what I can do in Photoshop. Okay, so I'm just reducing the size of the accent images here so that it fits what I want it to do. All right, and that's it. This is just me subjectively moving some stuff around now. That's it. And hopefully, if I don't take forever, I can have this done. All right, now my color here is not quite the color that I want it to be. I wanted to do silver because there's not really a lot of gold in our Tiffany themes. It's usually going to use silver. So I want to show you how to do that. We're going to go to the word bridal. I'm going to go to my smart color here. And before I change my smart color, I'm going to use my color picker tool to grab one of the colors that I really like right there. I'm holding down the mouse so that it can select multiple colors. And when I get what I want, then I can let it go. Double click right there, and then I can add that to my swatches so that I have that color for later. Is right here in my swatches. Go to color. This one is colored with color number 2. All right, so I will choose that color we just made. A little bit slightly different color. And then what I want you to realize is that although I have these smart colors in this template to recolor your images, sometimes you are going to have to do some work with your levels in order to get the color to apply like you want it. So I'm going to reset my levels right now. And then I'm going to play with pulling it a little bit of my midtones there so I get a little bit lighter color. If I pull this down, that means it's not going to have the highlights that you want it to have. So sometimes you want to do that if you want a really deep, like a hunter green or a burgundy, a plum color. You may have to play with bringing your highlights down. But I think that is good right there. Perfect. All right, so that's going to be my levels that I go with. I see the word shower, and I can change that a little bit too. by taking the same exact levels that I use for bridal. Alt, click and drag it up here now. That way I don't have to do the work all over again. I just duplicated it by Alt, holding down Alt or Option on the Mac, and then dragging it, a duplicate version of it, in the same location where I want the levels for the other text there. So I could do the same thing where it says Tiffany and Co. All right, I'm going to grab my levels, Alt, click and drag it, turn off the previous levels, and there I have my lighter version. Now, if I wanted to, and I'm going to recreate this line number 4 here. Oh, I lied. Yep, line number 4, I'm going to recreate because I want to show you what happens sometimes when you type text that is too long. And I needed to know that font. So what is that font? It's Baskerville Old Face. All right, so now that I know what the font is, I'm going to get rid of line 4. Take this one. So this is line number 5. I'm going to take line number 5, hold down Alt, click and drag it, hold down Shift so it stays in the middle. And for this one, I want to put your name and co with a period. All right, so see how wide that is? It's pretty large. And I'm going to change the text here to the Baskerville Old Face regular. And notice that if you're going with that Tiffany & Co. theme, they usually use what's called, it's not all caps. It is, I just lost it just that second. Basically, it's small caps. So the first letter is capital. The second, yeah, that's what's called small caps. So the second letters and onward are capped as well, but they're smaller. All right, so I'm using small caps. So no, you don't have to manually do that. I don't know. I think there are programs where you do have to manually do that, and it's aggravating because you basically have to type your text twice. I think Canva may be like that, not sure. But I also want you to notice, see how when I'm bringing it down, my effects are really, really thick there. Okay, I want to show you something to do there. So I brought it down to the size I want. My effects are really thick. I'm going to hit the drop down arrow here, go to my effects, right click, and I'm going to tell it that I want to scale the effects. And I want to scale it by about 50%, maybe 60%. So it still stands out, but it doesn't look crazy like it has so much out there. Then that way, if I want to just go to one of my strokes, which I like my white stroke to be a little bit thicker, I can go to 24, make it a little thicker there, and everything else doesn't look so out of proportion. All right, same thing here. I'm going to tell you how to go to your stroke and change it from silver, from gold to silver. Right here, if you just click on the stroke that has the yellow, hit that check box, turn it off, and now it's silver. Okay. That goes for if you wanted that stroke to be any other color. You can change that color from yellow to whatever color you want. All right, so now I'm going to take this one here, do the same thing. I'm going to make it silver because I don't see the gold there a lot. So I want to maintain that theme. There we go. And now it's looking pretty good, pretty good. Same thing here. Turn off the stroke. And if I don't know which one it is, I'm just going to double click on it. It'll open up in its own layer style window. Then I turn it off. Okay. So for here, I just wanted to give you an idea. I'm going to close all this up because I think my text is done. All right, so everything is all cleaned up here. I'm turning off turn the eyeballs off for anything that you're not using because it will add to the size of your file. I think I'm going to bring this down just a little bit here. I want to bring in a little bit of this fabulous background. Never mind, because then I got to create some extra stuff on the outside of the sleeves. I just saw it. Never mind. If I had a little more time, I would do it. I'll put some more image on the outside. All right, so this is my design. I'm going to go ahead and turn off these layers here so you can kind of see the full theme here. And then I'm also going to turn on a layer mask. That's a DTF layer mask there. And let's go ahead and adjust our layer mask here. The way that I'm going to adjust this, I'm going to unlink it. Turn this back on because it looks like I might have messed with something here. Sure did. So I'm going to take my layer mask, pull it up just a little bit there. And now that looks a little more visually appealing to me. There we go. So I have a little bit of pop out of my images coming out the layer mask. I'll turn the whole background black so you can see what it would look like if you were printing this on a black shirt. Okay, so that would be like a DTF type of print. So you don't want to have a lot of heavy drop shadows trying to pop out of this frame because it would not print well. I also have some, I thought I put it in here for y'all. I'll put a different layer mask in there if you're doing sublimation and you want a softer edge to it. But this one works too, regardless. If you're doing a 13 by 19 or anything like that. All right, so I'm going to disable my layer mask. And now we could go ahead and reimagine this for our party. And I'm going to bring my model size down just a little bit here. Here we go. And even the words here, so my bridal shower now, my bridal, and I'm going to call this line 1. And this would be line number 5. This would be line number 4. The reason why I do stuff like this is because when you have a graphic design, usually you're doing no more than 1, 2, 3 lines of text at the top, 4, 5, and 6 lines of text at the bottom. And if you kind of have that system to it, then you're going to be able to design almost anything you can think of with the same elements. All right, so now I'm going to show you how to export these elements and get them ready for whether you do an Automizer or whether you print as is, then this will help you get things ready. All right, so the first thing that I like to do is go ahead and export my foreground and background. And I think I mistakenly put my background inside of my foreground, which to get out of that, I bring my background on top of my foreground. Then close up my foreground group, bring it on top of my background. There we go. And then this whole black layer that I have, this color fill layer, can go below my background. There we go. All right, and inside my art folder. All right, so now we're ready to the simplest thing you're going to do. If you design how I taught you to design in this session, then you can right click and quick export as PNG your foreground. If you don't know what's in your foreground, you can turn it off, turn it back on. It should be stuff that's inside of that little box there. So let's quick export as PNG. That's our foreground. And what I'm going to do is make a folder, new folder. And this is going to be for today's date, 2023, 11/27. I'm going to put my customer number. If my customer number is 1145, that's my customer's number for my Shopify store. Then I'm going to put my customer's name. My customer's name is Your Name. Oh, all right. That's her. So all of my images there, I'm going to create a structure, new folder. I'm going to call these my input PNGs. I'm going to go ahead and make a folder right now too for my print PNG, and then I'm gonna do my mock-up PNG. Because this is what I'm gonna send. I'm gonna use all of these to send to my customer. All right, so what I'm doing right now is I'm putting these into my input PNG folders because these are my elements, right? My elements are what I'm putting in there. Foreground, background is all I really need, but I'm going to show you that sometimes it's necessary to have some of those extra elements. And in that case, we're going to go ahead and make it do what it do. All right, so let's quick export as PNG for that background. All right, now the background is going to take longer because it is a bigger image. It has a lot of pixels. Remember, it started as something about 1,000 by 1,000 pixels, and we gave it a whole lot of extra pixels by creating a bigger canvas size there. All right, so also for my foreground, and I want to break down those elements that I have here. So I can just right click and quick export that. Those are going to be my accents. I may or may not use them, but I like to go ahead and export them because once I change the design, I don't really want to have to come back to it. I could rebuild this design like this if I needed to, just in case I destroyed anything. Let's go ahead and quick export as PNG for that second accent image. And then I still have two more. I have my luggage. I'm going to quick export. And then it's going to also save it in the orientation. So if I twisted it a little bit or did something to it, it's going to save this version of it for me to use for my accents. So let's say you're doing a chip bag, and on the back of the chip bag, you want to put the mirror or maybe the bracelet or the luggage. You can use those elements to accent those additional elements in the design. All right, so I'm done with my accents there. I'm going to also go ahead and do the same thing for my photo. I'm going to right click and quick export as PNG, and it's going to also save where I faded it off. And if I go view enlarge icons here, you can see all of the things that are in the folder right now. Foreground, background, that's all you need for 90% of the stuff that you're ever going to make. All right, I'm doing this extra stuff just so that you know how to export this extra stuff and when to use that extra stuff. All right, so my photo's good. And the next thing I'm going to do is get my text. I have line 1, which is at the very top there. Quick export as PNG. That's going to be my line 1. My line 4, quick export as PNG. I almost didn't see it for a second there. All right, and then line 5, quick export as PNG. Now I have all of the elements that I need to build whatever I want to do. And guess what I'm doing next? I'm going to do an Automizer party. Why not? All right, so let's go ahead and flip this out as quick as possible because you will not be doing this class. This is just showing you why I want you to understand why you're doing these extra pieces. Now, this image is going to take the longest to update. It is a 8-foot by 8-foot backdrop. It could also be an 8 by 10, so 10-foot wide backdrop. This is what, if you're doing parties and you want to start doing some of the large scale stuff, this is one of the easiest ones to start with. Now, foreground and background need to be changed out here. I'm going to select background, and then I'll do File, Place Embedded. And then I'm going to choose the background, not from my random folder, my samples folder. Remember, we created a customer folder. So in that customer folder, I'm going to go to my input, select my background, place it. And then once I place it, I'm going to delete my previous image and close it down. Hit yes to save. And like I said, this is probably going to take the most time right here. All right, and while it's working on that background, I'm going to go ahead and open up the foreground, File, Place Embedded. All right, and this one, I'm going to place my foreground here. All right, it fits right on time. I'm going to delete our previous image of our gorgeous model, MK. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and close out of this, hit yes to save. And you know what I did not do? Yeah, I'm tripping. That Tiffany and Co is not lined up. I'm not gonna do nothing with it right now, but y'all see this right here? I'm tripping. It's just slightly off, but look at this. If I do Control A and then I hit this center button, look at that tiny little shift right there was throwing me off. Do y'all see that tiny little shift? Yeah, we're not gonna redesign it for that tiny little shift, but I'm just letting you know I knew it wasn't center. All right, so let's go ahead and now we're gonna close out of this. I think also what it is, my luggage is heavier on the right side, so that is like visually not centered, but we're gonna let it rock. Yeah, yeah, I could definitely get in my perfection mode. Now here also you can adjust the size and the placement of the backdrop and banner. If it came in decent, leave it alone. But if you feel like you need to do a little something, like I felt like it was pulled down a little bit too much, then I'm going to utilize the part of the graphic that I really want to see. Okay, so that's it. Hit yes to save. And like I said, that's going to be the thing that takes the most time to save and develop. So we're gonna give it this little time right there. Meanwhile, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna develop something for the floor, and I'm gonna go to my accents watercolor, and I'm going to imagine a watercolor. Um, what do I want to do? Versatile tiles, floor tiles. And I'm gonna tell it I want luxury. And I'm just gonna tell it that and see what it gives me. Oh, look at this. The baby panther. That is too cute. Mo, I know what you're going for over there. That's gonna be a cute theme. I love it. Look at the baby safari theme. Oh, gorgeous. Oh, look at the teddy bear couples. And what I would do for this too, for the watercolor clip art theme, um, I would use ChatGPT to give me a list of like 20 different, 20 of the most common safari animals used for parties. And then after it gave me that list, I would put it in as a multi prompt. And then that way, and I don't know if that's what you did, but even you wouldn't have to think of what all the different animals are. It would pretty much put you right on time for that. But these are gorgeous. Ooh, I love this. But what I wanted is I wanted a top view. And that's not exactly what I wanted. So I want to do a watercolor painting style of top view luxury floor tiles. Let's see if that gives me what I want. What I want to show you is that sometimes you can actually develop a floor and it'll be different. I tried to do this the other day. Sometimes it gives me what I want. Sometimes it shows out in front of company. Either way, I'm gonna get what I need out of it. Um, because I don't like to put the same image on the floor that I put on the background, just like this one here is a little different, but we're gonna go ahead and make it do what it do. So I'm saving this one. Excuse me. As soon as this one saves, it should update on my mockup. That's it. And then what I'm going to do is go ahead and change out the other elements here. So the easiest thing is going to be go to my t-shirt. The all over t-shirt is going to take the longest because it's a bigger file. Now that is my printable file. Now all I have to do is right click and update all modified content. I don't have to keep pulling my images in and keep pulling my images in. Like I said, if you stick with foreground and background, you're going to be good to go. There are going to be instances where maybe you can't do just foreground and background because maybe it's a long image and you need to be able to use some of your elements. That's when saving those additional elements come in handy. All right, so I am just updating all of the images here just by going into the mockup. Then going into the printable file, update or modify content. Now this is technically my printable file. If I wanted to print this, I would not print from the Photoshop. I would actually go to File, and then I would do Export, Quick Export as PNG, and I would save that into my print PNG. So that's my 13 by 19 shirt, and I'm going to have that file to print from as I'm mocking it up. So this is giving me my printable files. This is giving me my mock-up files. We're going to hit yes to save that. And I'm going to do the same thing with the back here. Go into it, update all modify content. All right. And then I should be able to work and flow through this process a lot faster because most of those other files are going to be smaller simply because it is literally a smaller printed file. So that's when you're asking me, Chandra, about what size you should be sending files at. It depends on what size you're printing the file. So if I'm not printing anything but a 7 by 9 image, I'm not going to send somebody a 36 by 44 inch file. So that is a really good question. So what I would do is, I don't know if you have access to the Automizer, but it automatically changes the sizes of your images so that it is the appropriate printable file. All right, so here I'm going to update all modified content, lock it in, and that's and so what I would send to her is File, Export, go ahead and export as PNG, and then it will save as a 7-inch by 7-inch plate, and it will be a huge file. And what I'll do is I'll check on what the file size is after we clean all of this up, and maybe that would answer your questions too. But at the most part, you can take an image that you made a PNG of and just tell it what size you want the image to be, and that would save you some image size as well. All right, so here for my accents, I'm going to leave those there for right now because I'm going to change those out. But did I? Oh, I didn't do my cup. So did I do all of it already? A good problem to have when you can forget about how much time you spent making your mock-ups. All right, so update all modified content. All right, all right. Okay, so we're saving that and updating everything here. Here we go. And then you just have some other things that you don't have to change. You don't even have to put these balloons in there. However, if it makes a difference, it's called merchandising. Whenever you show your customers something that they probably want, regardless of whether you do it or not, it's going to make them more apt to want to buy that thing. Okay. So that's just a tip. I'm going to, for this one, because I changed the atomizer, I made it smaller in file. You're going to have to pick your color here. So you're going to choose solid color, pick your color, and then you're going to delete the previous color and then save it that way. This is going to save, what I did was the Automizer, I saved you some space because you cannot save all of those files in it anymore. You can only use one layer at a time, and that's going to help you not have a huge file and have your computer crashing. All right, so color number 1 was that Tiffany color. I'm going to do color number 2, solid color. I'm going to make it a little bit lighter. Then I'm going to delete the color underneath. Then I'm going to stick with the silver balloons because I don't want to make them gold. I'm going to stick with the white. I like the white because usually they're using the white bows. And now I have a Tiffany & Co. theme without stealing any Tiffany & Co. imagery. Okay. And then this one, I feel like I went a little big with my image here. I did. So I'm going to move my balloon garlands up a little bit so you can see your name in Co. Okay, you can see that the balloons are kind of hiding the rods of the poles for the banner. And I'm just going to move that banner over just a little bit. Here we go. All right, all right. And then if I wanted to do cutouts, all I'm gonna do, I'm not actually making these cutouts right now. I'm just giving the customer some ideas. So I'm gonna turn off those cutouts, which were nothing more than the images that I saved. Remember, we saved those images in our customer file. They're just input PNGs. I'll go here so I can view them. And then maybe for the two most important images might be the ring box. And because it's a bridal theme, so maybe I do a big cutout of the ring box here. And then I have my gifts here. Then I can change my floor graphic. All right, so for the floor graphic, I am going to get rid of some of this extra stuff here that is not even supposed to be here. I was having way too much fun. I'm going to update our modified content here. And while that's going, let me check and see. This is more what I was looking for. 1, 2, 3, number 4. So it was actually giving me like a top view of a floor tile there. So I'm gonna upscale that, and it just happened to give it to me in Tiffany type color. So that's really pretty to me. All right, so since it's upscale, that's gonna be gorgeous. All right, so let me go ahead. If I wanted it to be bigger, I could actually zoom out of this if I wanted it to give me more pattern to the outside, but I like that like it is. I'm just gonna zoom out just so I can show you that it will generate some image outside of there. But what's gonna happen is the total size of the image is still gonna be about 1,000 by 1,000 pixels. So it's not going to help me. If I plan on this being my 8 by 8, then I just need to keep it with this right here, which is what I'm doing. Opening browser. And see how I was trying to generate some patterns outside of there so it'll have something in it, which those are really pretty too. Now that I see it actually developing something on the outside, I might like that better. All right, sorry, y'all. I was just over here talking and teaching. I was not even reading my comments here. Yep, Christy, I am updating it. I'm making sure everything works so that it's not a complicated system for y'all system. So I have had people testing it out so far. All right. I don't know, I think I like my original one better. It looks cleaner, it looks more intentional. So I'm gonna go with that one. Save my image as. Now what I'm gonna do is save this in, I'll save this in the class samples folder so you'll have this. So this is the floor. And let's go ahead and bring it in. So the floor wrap is going to be, because I have it set up to where you can reprint the backdrop banner on the floor, which is what most people do. They just reprint the banner on the floor wrap. I feel like that looks a little silly. If you have the Photoshop skills to make something better, then I say make it better. So in that case, I would change the floor wrap. Look, it's taking even on my computer, it's taking quite a bit of time for it to open it up. It's a 8 foot by 8 foot file. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is here, I'm going to update all modified content. So it will replace, what you have with the foreground background. However, this is where I was saying certain instances, you want to bring in different things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in, I don't want this as my floor. I'm going to bring in the image that I do want as my floor. And that would be in here. You'll have all these sample images. Okay. And this is going to be totally separate from what my foreground and background is. But I don't want people stepping on my face if it's my party. So I'm not going to use my foreground image there. I might just use maybe just the words or just some of the accent images. I don't like when people are stepping on people's faces. It does something to me. But a lot of people will ask you to do just that. So you do whatever they pay for, okay? If they want people stomping all over their face and while they getting their bridal shower on, that's fine. Here's what I would do though. So I'm gonna put your name and co bridal shower, and maybe I bring in my accent elements, but I'm not going to put her face on there. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess it was 5 and 6. Oh, it was 7. No, no. All right, so I had 3 lines of text, 4 images. That makes sense. So now this is where it comes in handy to have your images separate. So now I'm going to put your name and co up top, bridal shower, bridal goes here, shower goes here. Then I could use my accent elements wherever I wish. Pretty much the same way like we did before. And I'm just kind of building up that look again. And again, the main difference here as far as the 2.0 Automizer is that it's just not letting you save all of these different layers so that you kind of get lazy and you just save things on top of things on top of things. And then that's what complicates your system. Okay, so that's it. That's all. And then I have all of this stuff. I'm gonna group it all together because this stuff here is not gonna matter to the next designer setup. But I'm gonna show it without the words on it just because I feel like it'll be really pretty without the words. I just want to show y'all why you would want to bring in those other elements sometimes because you don't want the exact layout that you have for the foreground. But do you see how much extra time that takes? So if you have an option to ever design with just the foreground and the background, exercise that option because the additional time that you take to move maybe the accent elements or move the text is more than likely not going to impress your customer, but it's going to frustrate you because you're going to be spending additional time on doing something that you just could have hit update all modified content. Now I'm letting that update again. This is a large file, so I'm letting it do what it does. And then what I'll do, I'm putting on my list here to make a short video to show you all how to resize your images for printing purposes. So that you don't have a big old image when you really don't need it. All right, let me go ahead and update that. Go to my mockup here. All right, that was quick, that was good. I'm going to change the color of my tablecloth. Here we go. And then see how it made my teal really dark? That means I need to change my levels. And I'm just getting the shadow that I want, the color that I want. That's fine with me right there. I think my ring box is a little big. Might want it that big. You might be trying to show out. Okay, so this is the last step I was going to tell you all in AI class. You can create these flowers here in AI. Or you can just come over here real quick. Look, they don't deserve all that. Go over there. You could just change them one time, one color. And then you could even put it on hue and let it do what it does. But I like to actually create like a fresh bouquet and a fresh cake, even though I have nothing to do with making cakes or floral arrangements. But here in your accents, I'm going to tell it that I want a floral arrangement. And I'm gonna type in the word center because if you type in, or centerpiece, I believe, if you type in centerpiece, you'll see that we already created some here. And you could take that exact prompt and just make whatever centerpiece you want for whatever your colors are. So, I'm going to jump to this one here, copy the prompt. And this one is not going to be Christmas. I am going to do a winter theme though, because flowers are seasonal. So if you're having a winter bridal shower, then you probably want to go with more seasonal flowers. So I'm going to do a photo of a, mm, I'm going to do a wedding centerpiece so that it knows that I'm using more expensive flowers. Wedding centerpiece. And then I'm going to put for the winter season. And then it's going to be incorporating the Tiffany blue flowers. And then I'm going to put isolated on a white background so it makes it real easy to cut out. All right, so I'm going to let that cook. And then I'm also going to go ahead and make my cake. All right, so if I type in cake here, you'll get some prompts for the cake, not kale. That's almost totally different than like opposite of cake. Okay, so here are some ideas, and really you just tell it what you want. All right, so I'm going to tell it that I want to imagine photo of a luxury cake for a winter wonderland wedding, incorporating the color Tiffany blue, isolated on a white background. Let it do what it do. Now I could redo this because I don't think it gave me a elaborate enough centerpiece. I want this to be more dramatic. Okay, so I'm actually going to reprompt this. And I'm going to put dramatic luxury wedding centerpiece. Okay. And instead of saying centerpiece, I'm going to tell it the flowers is the main thing. So I'm going to say a floral centerpiece. All right. And I think 4 is okay, but I think it could do a bit better, but I do like 4. And then if I told it to incorporate the gift theme, I could do that too. I could tell it to incorporate lace, roses, pearls, and white ribbons. And the color Tiffany blue, isolated on a white background. Okay, now I'm getting a little more wedding inspiration. Just a little bit more. Um, I think I'm gonna go with number 2, or actually number 1. Even though it has little balls on the table, I think I'm gonna roll with number 1. I don't know, I'm stuck 1 and 2. I'm gonna go with 1 because I can see it better from farther away. I just want something that has some impact. I'm not making these flowers. I don't even know what these flowers are. I couldn't tell you what the the names of them are, or if they even are in stock with your local florist. My job here is to put a look together to make somebody want to buy my stuff that I do sell. So I'm not gonna spend too much time like, I don't know, our baby breaths in season. Like, look, I asked it to give me some flowers in season. I'm gonna let it do its thing, and then I'm gonna rock from there. So I'm gonna go ahead and open that in browser so I have that full image. And then these cakes, I do think I like a little bit better. I'm gonna go with number 4 there, upscale number 4. Yeah, I think it looks better than that one that I did before. And like I said, it's got some details that's jacked up. That ain't my job. I'm not the cake maker. I'm just throwing this in my mock-up, okay? So I'll open that in browser. And you can see it took me longer to pick out a fake cake for a wedding that I have nothing to do with than it took me to flip the design and mock it up in Automizer. But it is what it is. Let me go ahead and save this image of the cake. You all will have it inside of the class files. I'm gonna just call it Cake, Tiffany. And then I'm going to save the flowers for you all as Flowers, Tiffany. And then now I'm just going to straight up drag those in and update. All right, so let's go ahead, make that full size. Go to my folder. Right, and these will be images that you get with the AI. All right, so bring those in, drop them right onto the artboard. I lied because I was supposed to make sure that I was in the right layer before I did that. But if that ever happens to you and it breaks up your path there, just right click, create clip and mask. All right, so I'm going to turn off those flowers. And for this, because I really don't care, I'm just going to hit remove background down here at the bottom, let AI determine what it thinks is the background and let it go to work. I'm going to do the same thing to the cake. Okay, the cake, I'm just hitting remove background. It's probably going to have some little tiny details, but I think it's going to do well enough for what we're doing right now, which is making a mock-up. All right, so there's my cake, and we'll place it here. And it looks like it did leave some of the dark, that dark area below the cake. So I'm gonna bring it up top here. It did not do a great job of cutting that out at the bottom. I'm not finna fool with it. What I'm gonna do is fade it off. Oh, I actually brought it back. I need to make sure black is selected here on my layer mask and just fade that off. Photoshop getting a little aggravated with me now. See how it's not responding to me? All right, so the cake and then my flowers. And without me having to be a specialist in all things events, I think we have pulled together enough to convince people that we can provide for their party, for their event. Ooh, it really did a bad job of cutting out this cake. I think the other thing is I chose a cake with a dark background, so that's not good. Let me choose another cake. Ooh, Pamela, I like this cake. May I have a slice to put into this template? Thank you, my love. This is what I love. This is what I love us creating together. What I'm going to do is, because it was a little dark, I'm going to change the hue of it, but that was beautiful. That's what I'm saying. The power of group economics, being in this group together, developing these thousands of images together. We ain't got to look too far for inspiration. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and bring that cake in because I really did like it. I didn't even pay attention if it had a black background. I just really liked it. All right, let me refresh. Oh, that one, it didn't work. Hold on, it might be working now. There it goes. It did want to work at first. All right, so we'll do, that is cake 3. And see how it's a little dark? I'm just gonna bring it in here. Tell it to remove that background and do my hue saturation thing. So right now it's more of a teal. We want it more of a medium to light turquoise. So I'm going to put a hue saturation adjustment layer on that cake. Make sure I clip that layer to just the cake. And then I'm going to take my, I'm pretty sure those are cyans. Yep, cyans. I'm gonna take my cyans and shift the color to where it's more green than blue. Right about there is good. All right, move my cake. Oh, y'all. I think I try to show out a little bit too much today. We try to do too much. But now I wanted you all to see how you're going to be able to use AI for more than just creating a picture. Like, because I want you to understand how powerful the skill that you all are investing in really is. The Photoshop skills, the AI skills, the ability to mock up your products, the ability to actually create physical products for people, like your sublimation items, like your DTF items. Those are high level skills that I want you to know, can absolutely pay the bills, can replace your 9 to 5s, but you got to have strategy to go with it. You got to have systems to go with it. And you got to be able to use your skills so that you're not taking 2 hours just to come up with one design. Literally, we could flip this template over and over and over again. That's why I call them 5-minute templates. All right. All right, my loves. So I'm going to actually, so whoever's in this class tonight, if you saw how I did this, I'm going to give you this party starter Automizer 2.0 file. I want y'all to try it out for me. Is that okay? Will y'all test it for me? Test it for me by Wednesday, the same way that I did everything. Chrissy's like, yes. Test it for me by Wednesday for so then that way I'll know by the time y'all do class with Coach Chrissy, because Coach Chrissy's not gonna have time to do all of this plus the template for the class. Okay. So I need y'all to come ready for class so that you can do your design here. You already know what to do. And then you can easily flip the elements that you do from that class into this template for Wednesday. Okay. And you can even do it if I give you the file tonight. What I'll do is I'm going to put it inside of this AI in action class. So this is class number 8. I'll put this file in there so you all have it now, so you can use it for class that you did yesterday for the royalty theme. You can use it for the remembrance theme. All of these things we're working on, y'all should be able to turn this thing out. And without me talking, we probably could have even done our automizer. Usually I say about 10 minutes for an automizer mock-up, 5 minutes for a template flip. So 15 minutes, 5 minutes flipping your design, 10 minutes mocking everything up. You should be able to give your customer that design, that 15 minutes worth of design, and they should be ready to go from a $30 shirt to a $3,000 event now. Okay. Or at the minimum, a $30 shirt to a 300 shirt, a $300 order where they'll say, okay, well, maybe I do want 2 shirts and a bag. And yeah, I like how you did the cups or the chip bags or whatever. So I want you all to utilize this every time you mock up an order, even if you don't do this whole setup, at least 4 items. 4 items. Okay. All right. All right. All right, and what I'll do, once you all tell me, I get a little more feedback on this 2.0 style, the way that it's set up. Then what I'll do is I'll actually do a class for everyone. I'm gonna record it. It's not gonna be everybody sitting in my face because it's gonna be too easy for y'all. Y'all already know how to use it. It's easier now than it ever was before. So I'm going to do a, I don't know, maybe we'll do an atomizer party. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how good y'all are. If y'all do the stuff that you're supposed to do, then we'll see. All right, so everything here is good to go. I'm gonna go ahead and save this so you all will have this exact file as is with all these extra little cakes and flowers in there too. All those extra little accent images. It's gonna make the file a little bit bigger, but y'all say y'all want it. All right, my love. So that's it for tonight. So come to class with your foreground image, your subject image. Okay, I can't say foreground because it's composed of things. Your subject image, which is either it could be a teddy bear or it could be a photo, whatever your core image is. Then I want you to have a background image. Then I want you to have 2 accent images. If you happen to have 4, that's fine. That's your business, but you're gonna be cutting them out yourself, okay? So you need to already have your accent images cut out. What I want to do is I want to focus on you all learning how to do AI generation on the background, and then learning to use the AI selection to cut out for your subject image. Okay, and come with what you want to say. Y'all come in here, and I know y'all have the best ideas. Y'all are ready to put some of those words to work that you know are already selling, but they have garbage designs. So come in here knowing what you want to say on your shirt, and then that way you can in class time get a final design done. And then after class, I expect you to stay in your own house at your own home on your own computer and flip 3 more designs. And by the time you flip those 3 designs, really 4 because you did 1 in class, 3 outside of class. You should be able to, at that point, flip that same template in 5 minutes, no matter what the design theme is, okay? That's the deal, that's the drill. All righty, my loves. I appreciate y'all too. Listen, I appreciate you. I love you dearly. And until next time, bye. Y'all take it super easy, but not that easy that you don't get your homework done. Okay. Make sure y'all make it easy for Coach Chrissy on Wednesday. All right. Love y'all. Peace.